Now to our top story this morning. Convicted killer Carly Gregg could get a new trial as her defense team is filing a motion for a brand new trial for her. This is coming less than 2 weeks since the judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole for murdering her mother and trying to—
Oh, hell. She thought she was just going to get out, huh? She thought she was just going to get out. Lifetime was going to do a little documentary on her. She's going to have a makeup line and do like dances next to dirty pools. Nope.
To murder her stepfather. Now, the defense is claiming in their motion that new evidence has been discovered that was unavailable during the trial, including an unaired portion of an interview that Carly's biological father, Kevin Gregg, did with TV station WLBT. He says that Carly was placed in equestrian therapy as a young child due to experiencing auditory hallucinations.
Equestrian therapy for auditory hallucinations? What?
Gregg refused to cooperate in Carly's defense, refused to talk to the state, and refused to talk to the mental health professionals who were evaluating his daughter. So not a lot of help he was. But now her defense team has learned this information after the fact, that she was hearing voices, and that, of course—
Oh, hell. Queen, thank you.
Of course, could go to her mental state at the time of the incident. Let's talk about what this means with retired criminal defense attorney Kirk Nury, the man who famously saved Jodi Arias's life. Kurt, good morning to you. Oh boy. Tell me your first thoughts when you heard that there was this newly discovered information unavailable to either side at the time of trial.
Good morning, Julie. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's not really surprising in the sense of what we learn about, right? We know that at her young age, to do what she did, there had to be some mental health issues. There had to be some trauma. There had to be something going on here. And now we're starting to see the beginnings of that in this motion. What her biological father could say could be very enlightening to her, maybe not her mental state at the time, but her mental health history, which touches on the idea of her transfer to adult court, as well as the viability of any defense. So given that an appeal, as we both know, Julie, and to remind the viewers that any appeal is limited to what's on the record, the defense felt compelled, probably not thinking that they're going to win this motion, but compelled to put this on the record to flesh these things out so that when that case goes up on appeal, the Court of Appeals has a full record before them.
Important distinction you just made, Kirk. Thank you for that. So this motion is to the trial court. This is
Stella, thank you. 2 left. You guys are amazing.
Post-conviction relief with the trial court, where she had her case not yet up going to the appellate court, as you noted, which this is going to lay the groundwork for that potentially. Thank you for that. Kirk, so in this motion, it goes on to say that this new information from Carly's dad, Kevin Gregg, supports Dr. Andrew Clark, the forensic psychologist, their expert witness. It supports Dr. Clark's diagnosis of unspecified schizophrenic disorder, and it's likely to lead to a different result at a new trial. Dr. Clark testified to some of the writings in Carly's journal. I'm sure many of us remember that. Let's go back to that moment in the trial together now.
March 12th, Tuesday, she writes, "I think I had a psychotic break earlier. The whole ordeal was quite silly. I actually spoke with one of the voices in my head."
Yeah, thank you.
"Well, I didn't hear them until earlier today, but I only do then. My particular friend and I were practically screaming, bloodthirstily and ravenously. Thank God, physical confrontation was not, and I think it's exclusively, possible. I sound crazy."
Kirk, we know Dad is saying that she heard voices. He's corroborating this. How much more weight, I guess, is this testimony from Dr. Andrew Clark given in light of the new information from Dad?
Well, certainly a little more, but I think, Julie, this is also a fertile ground to get more information. I mean, anytime anybody's making a psychological diagnosis, they want more information. And I hearken back then to this mention of her getting equestrian therapy at a young age. What motivated that? Did a doctor recommend that? What record?
Right. Stella, thank you.
Does the
I want equestrian therapy right now.
equestrian
Ride some horses.
therapy facility have? What documentation? What doctors looked at her? Because all that is important.
I'd walk in and go, hey. You're welcome.
Data in a psychological analysis. And so that could be very important in terms of fleshing it out, maybe even altering both psychologists' opinion to a certain degree. That's why I think this motion is so well taken.
Kirk, thank you for that. Great points. I have a clip of that interview that Kevin Gregg did with WLBT TV station. Let's take a look at some of it now.
That girl is not insane. That was a very dumb defense, if you ask me. But I wasn't involved. Nobody ever called me. I don't want to judge her. I hope she finds Jesus. I hope she can reconcile with what she did.
So I know
That's
the first
her
clip
dad
was
saying
quick,
that?
but he's saying that she knew right from wrong, that she wasn't insane, and that he called it a dumb defense. And then he also says that nobody talked to him about it. And Kirk, ironically, if you're on the defense side of this, he could have really tipped the scales for the defense. Don't you think, if he would have talked about the hearing the voices, one more person saying that she may not have been totally clear at the time of the crimes?
Seems like the defense has taken a different position, that they did try to talk to him. They said that he did not talk to the state as well. So, when people are in interviews like this, they may be trying to project a certain something forward that may not be entirely accurate. That's why I think I've always found experience is guides me towards the unedited portions. What else did they say? What have they said in other forums? So, yeah, to me, Mr. Gregg's comments don't ring very true or very solidified. I want to see those records. That's what matters to me if I'm the defense.
All right, Kirk, great point. So I know that it's early. This motion was just filed. We don't have the benefit of seeing a responsive motion yet from the state. But your thoughts, of course, everybody wants to know, is she going to get a new trial? How likely do you think
Deb, thank you.
that would be?
I think it tends to be very unlikely. Appeals probably have a less than 5% success rate. And in a case like this, a motion for new trial, because again, as you said earlier, we're not at the appellate court, we're in front of the same judge. So unless they were to find really compelling information, and by that probably I mean those records from the Equestrian Center, if they could have an expert come in and say, this could alter my opinion, or perhaps question the state's expert to say, would this alter your opinion? Then that could otherwise motivate a judge. But at this point, it's likely more a matter of building that record for the Court of Appeals, because a judge is unlikely to overturn their own rulings and what have you. So it's really a less than 5% chance, Julie.
This is really helpful. Kirk Nury, you're awesome.